Southern and Grambling, right? Y'all bear with me. I just sat down. I've been on the move. The police out. They escorting football teams, bands, and getting traffic together. But listen, today's ball game. Throw out the record, and I'm gonna give you a record of Grambling State right now. As you're looking at them coming to today's ball game, and as you can hear the police sirens behind me. Listen, they started the season 40-10 against UL. That was a loss. They went on to take on Tuskegee up at Grambling, Louisiana in the hole, 37-20. Then they had an overtime victory over East Texas A&M, 35-28. They went up. Hey, listen, this had to be the upset of the year now that I look back at it. Grambling beating Jackson State 41-20. And then they go into 5 overtimes. And it seemed like this program at this time, and this is one of the things I want to go back and talk about when you look at this program. Grambling, coming out of almost the month of September up into that last week, was 3-1 on the season. Victories over Tuskegee, victories over East Texas A&M, and as well as Jackson State. That lone loss was a 30-point loss to UL over in Lafayette. This looked like a team that was headed in the direction of competing for a SWAC Western Division title under first-year head coach Mickey Joseph. And, of course, his coordinators offensively, Eric Dooley, former Southern University head coach, and defensively, Jason Rollins, former interim Southern University head football coach. Both these guys know the Southern program and know the state of Louisiana very well, as they both have ties to this state. And it looked like Mickey Joseph and Grambling State was headed in the right direction. 3-1 coming out of September 21st. And then this is where things kind of turned. They went up to Dallas. The State Fair Classic took on Prairie View. 5 overtime lost in that one. 5 overtimes. Prairie View pulled it out coming from behind in the fourth quarter and taking this thing 36-34. And then just a week later, Grambling hosting Alcorn State. Alcorn gets the victory 17-15 over the G-Men. So then after starting the season 3-1, they go on a 2-game skid. Then they welcome in the Golden Lions of UAPB October the 19th. The Tigers win this one 31-21 in a hard-fought game against UAPB. And they came back and got it. And then they go on the road at the end of October to take on a really tough Texas Southern team with Chris Dishman in his first season there. 24-17, the final between both these Tiger programs. Texas Southern was able to walk away with it. And then how about then going on the road after that and another 2-game skid, this time to Bethune-Cookman, a team that I don't think anybody saw maybe to get a dub this year. They got their first victory. It was over Valley. Then they got their second victory over Grambling in Daytona Beach, Florida, 24-21 back on November the 2nd. And then Grambling got back on track. And it was kind of like 2-game skid. All right, now let's do something nobody thought they'll see us do. And let's beat Alabama State. And this was the week, ladies and gentlemen, that Alabama State was still in the hunt for the SWAC East Division title. They was coming into that game with 1 loss. And just the next week was going to set up that huge game between Alabama State and Jackson State. But with Grambling sneaking this one out 24-23, they kind of stole that thunder, that momentum Alabama State needed to go into that SWAC East divisional game between them, Jackson State and Alabama State. Grambling gets that victory 24-23 at home. And then they go on a skid again. They go on the losing end again, this time blowing a big lead, 17-3 lead on national television, on ESPN, on the road against Connell Manor and Alabama A&M. Man, that was a tough game if you had to watch that as a Grambling fan. 22-17, Connell Manor and the Bulldogs come into that game and come back and get out of there with a victory. And now today, this is it for Grambling. This is the end of the road. Grambling comes into this game, as I guess giving you that schedule, stumble in here 5-6, 1 game below 500. And guess what? They're trying to ultimately finish this season if they can 6-6, just to say they're at 500 and just to say, look, we beat our rival Southern. This rivalry is deep when you look at these programs, but I think most of all, as I stay on topic with Grambling right now, everybody who looked at this program, all eyes as this team began to struggle and go through those losing skids after that 3-1 start, started to begin to look at Coach Eric Dooley. Remember, this team came into this season with the SWAC preseason Offensive Player of the Year in Miles Crowley. And Miles Crowley, who had transferred into this Grambling State program from Alabama State, was a guy with a big arm. He led the SWAC last year, coming at one of the leading passers coming into the season from last year. And everybody circled this kid and said, you know what, this kid has the big arm capability. This kid can get it done. I can see this kid being the SWAC Offensive Player of the Year. So far on the season, Miles Crowley has passed for 1,564 yards. His completion to attempt, he's 139 of 242 on the season. He's thrown 11 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, and he's been sacked 15 times. And we've seen him coming in and out between Bailey and Crowley since this struggle has seemed to happen with Crowley. And everybody started to ask the questions about Eric Dooley. We started to hear the whirlwinds of people saying, and even sound like Coach Mickey Joseph was alluding to, we may be taking the play calling duties away from Dooley for a while. But then it came out this week, it looked like things were sure from Coach Mickey Joseph that Coach Eric Dooley will be making those play calls today. Look, nobody knows this Southern team better than Coach Eric Dooley because, remember, he was Southern's coach last year. For 2 years, well, a year and a half, he ran the Southern program. So he knows this program very well. He knows everything in and out about this program, and that's what's going to make today's game very interesting of a coach on the other side. And look, no doubt about it, Jason Rollins knows this program as well. There's a few players still on this team that was around from that Jason Rollins time as well. So when you look at both those coaches, and they're looking at this program, they say, hey, we know this locker room in and out. Then when you look at Coach Mickey Joseph, I think the thing today is, what is he going to do in terms of the offensive play calling? If Coach Eric Dooley begins to struggle, or will Coach Eric Dooley actually handle today's play calling offensively for Grambling? When you look at this team, they have struggled, and they have been up and down. When you're up 17-3 against Alabama A&M and you blow that lead and you lose 22-17, you have to begin to scratch your head to say what happened. Alabama A&M's defense held them scoreless in the second half. Then you look at Grambling's running back, Hargrove, 503 rushing yards on the season off 107 carries. His longest run on the season was 36 yards, and he has 5 touchdowns on the season for him. And then you look at their starting wide receiver. Now, number 8 is a guy I would say. He's a short guy, 5'6", 180 pounds, from Florida City, Florida. Number 8, Javon Robinson for the Tigers on the season. 41 receptions, 501 yards receiving, and a touchdown. Has not seen much of the end zone, but he can pick you apart little by little, depending on which one of these quarterbacks. He seems to be the favorite target. He's averaging 12 yards a catch. And this guy, like I said, 5'6", not the biggest guy in the world, but he's one of those guys, if you don't pay attention in this ball game and those quarterbacks able to get it out no matter if it's Crowley or Bailey, he's a guy that can get past you and get up the field. And this just makes for an interesting matchup because I'm looking at Southern's defense against this team, but I'm also looking at Grambling's defense, right? And on the other side, when we come out of the break, I'll talk to you about Southern because it's nothing new here. This is something I've been talking to you guys all year from week 1 all the way to here, week 13, consistently about Southern's team offensively and defensively. But today, it's going to be Miles Crowley, who was the face of this program coming into the season for Grambling State. He's going to probably get the start today considering whatever his health is like and however he's practiced this week. But I can assure he's probably going to get the start today. But it's going to be interesting to see what Grambling can do because both these teams offensively have had their ups and downs, right? And when you're looking at Grambling, 5-6 on the season, Crowley once again a 1,500-yard passer on the season. Hargrove, 500-yard rusher on the season. Then Robinson, a 500-yard receiver. As you see, none of these guys with high-level numbers. Crowley's not a 2,000-yard passer. Hargrove is not a 1,000-yard rusher. And Robinson is not a 1,000-yard receiver. So when you look at that overall, you look and you say, man, maybe Southern has a chance today against Grambling.